Let's talk about Smash Ultimate Online and why it's only good in concept but really bad in execution, worse than Smash 4. Now, before you say in the comments, I am not blaming Sakurai for this. That guy is a saint amongst directors. And this is honestly more of a Nintendo issue and a bit of a Bandai Namco issue because Bandai Namco, like with Smash 4, helped develop this game. And it's very confusing and very baffling, like, how annoying the online is and why it's worse than, well, Smash 4. And that has to deal with a lot about how quick play is handled. If in case you don't know, quick play is handled in two major categories, which is co-op and solo, or like duos, co-op. So I think 2v2 is the only mode that you can specifically queue for if you are playing with a friend. I haven't played with anyone else online locally on my system, so I'm not sure how that exactly works. But when it comes to solo queuing, when you queue in for a match, it works based on it'll first prioritize where people are near you, then like if there are games, preferred rules, or however. I'm not sure how exactly what is the order of hierarchy in the background, but based on my experience, it focuses you on getting into a game as soon as possible, but you can set your own preferred rules. There's three formats that you can choose from, which is time-based battles, 2v2 battles, and 1v1 battles. Then you can choose between time, stock, or no. For free-for-all, 2v2, 1v1. I'm sorry, I messed that one up. Then you have time, stock, and stamina battles, and then you can fiddle around with how many stocks, how much time you have. I'm pretty sure stamina will allow you to mess with how much stamina you have, whether or not which items you play with, and where you have random stages, hazards off, battlefield only, battlefield and Omega I think is another option, and just Omega fields. And the biggest issue with this is that the queue, based on my experience, tries to get you into a game as soon as possible without regarding your rule set. Because what it does is that it chooses randomly between whose rule set it is played in. But obviously, you're not always going to get the same rules that you always want to play with, and that's fine as long as I play within the format I want to play in, whether that I want to just play in for free-for-all, 2v2, or 1v1. As long as I play within that general format, I honestly don't care if it's time, stock, or stamina. I'm fine with that because it's quick play. But with quick play, you do definitely have a general preference. And for me, it's 1v1, not because I'm a hardcore scrub, but because when it comes to free-for-alls, if one person has a bad connection, it doesn't matter if they're practically right next door, the connection is just going to be really bad, and it's going to slow the whole thing down. Now, I have had good experiences with free-for-alls. The first four free for all I was a part of wasn't all that laggy. It didn't have much input delay, and it was generally fine. I know my internet can handle it. I can have generally seamless online experiences with my internet, and my Switch is wired in. But if one person, like I said, just has a bad connection, it drags the whole thing down, and that sadly happens more often than not. This is a problem that also exists in Smash 4. But in Smash 4, you can always choose in For Glory 1v1. It's always stuck to two stocks and Omega stages, which got kind of frustrating when it comes to certain characters. But it was at least a consistent game mode. I played over 700 hours on 3DS, and most of that was on For Glory 1v1, because I got to play with other people, and usually the connection wasn't all that bad on 3DS. I never had the Wii U, so I don't know how exactly that was. Just I can only guess based on what other people have done videos on. Like Alfred's A Story for Glory, but from what I can generally tell, it was roughly the same, and it was consistent enough where it was enjoyable. But the thing where it fails in Smash Ultimate is that when you get queued up for a game, you do not get an option to leave. In fact, you're punished if you leave. It doesn't even matter if the start of the match happens. It happens even during the queue. I tried that, and it punishes you for it. When you're still in the preparing phase of the match, you're not allowed to leave. If you choose rematch, yeah, you can choose to leave match while it's still preparing, But if it's the initial queue or entering into that specific room, you're not allowed to leave, which is annoying. It doesn't give you the option. And it queues you for the quickest game possible rather than to a game mode that you would enjoy. And that's where a lot of the issues lie in. And then some may say, oh, what about arena mode? Well, that also has issues, which I'll get into later. But I want to quickly just discuss what are potential fixes for the online mode for quick play. And it's actually quite simple. Do something similar to For Glory or For Fun. Still have something similar to preferred rules, but have them more contained to each format. For free-for-alls will be its own separate queue. If you queue in for that, you only get 4 free-for-alls. Because if you want to play that, you probably have no interest in 2v2, or maybe some interest in 2v2, but you probably have zero interest in 1v1, either because it's considered the more die-hard aspect, or it's just simply not fun Smash for you. I mean, there's plenty of people who like that, who only like for free-for-all. In fact, I would probably say that's probably the grand majority of Smash players. I'm not talking about the pro scene, I'm talking about the casual and just people who just generally enjoy and love Smash, and that's fine. So it's completely unfair to them if they're forced to play in a 1v1 scenario or in a 2v2, which they might not enjoy as much. Same thing with 2v2. If you're into 2v2 but don't have a friend to play with, you still want to play 2v2. You shouldn't be forced to play for free-for-all or 1v1 if you don't want to. Same thing with 1v1 for people like myself. I don't want to play in 4 people because I don't consider the online experience to be that smooth, or at least consistently smooth. Like I said, I had smooth games before, but it's not consistent. And I one time had a match that lasted for 15 minutes that was supposed to be a 5-minute 2-stock match from how laggy it was. And I already had a warning that if I disconnected 1 or 2 more times, I would get in trouble, even though I was the first one to get knocked out because I'm not used to it. I messed up my recovery a few times. I was playing Incineroar, and I was the first one out, and I wasn't allowed to leave. There is no accessing an options menu. Even in Smash 4, where you were still penalized if you left too often, it still gave you an option to press pause and leave. So that's entirely unfair. And if you use the home menu to disconnect, it considers you punished or building up towards a punishment for leaving. Even though in a stock battle where if you're the 3rd or 4th person to be defeated, you have no more agency in that fight. You have no more reason to play. Your place is completely finished. It doesn't matter how the upper placements work. You're not getting their smash tags. You're guaranteed to get any smash tags you would get. Like if you're in 3rd place, you're guaranteed to get 4th place smash tag, which the game can just do right then and there at that moment. It's probably not that hard to do. It's probably that binary things like, oh, are you a higher place than them? If yes, you get smash tag. If not, you don't get smash tag. So it's something that just feels incredibly frustrating because you're punished for not playing the game mode that you want, that the game doesn't care about. And again, Smash 4 did this better. If you queue for 1v1 for Glory, you only get that. It had issues where you couldn't see your opponent's connection, you didn't have an option to leave if it was too bad or not, which could have been just simple fixes. But in this, no, you're pretty much stuck in the queue that the game forces you into, while it could just be simply separated. I don't care if I play time 1v1. I don't care if I play stamina 1v1 or the not having the amount of stocks I want. I don't care. As long as I have a good connection with my opponent and it's not that much laggy. And if for people for free-for-all was much more consistent, or I had the option to leave, I wouldn't mind the current setup as it is. But the problem is that I'm stuck and punished for not playing the same game mode that I want, and that I have specifically selected for. And you might think background queuing might help, but it's just as fast as regular queuing, if it's only slower just because it's preparing for the background queue itself. So in my experience, like, if background queue simply prioritized your preferred rules more, like if it was, oh hey, you really want to play specifically 1v1 or someone who has similar rule set to you in general, we will put you on more on the back burner in terms of queuing, not put you in a game right away so you can have a better online experience. And in the meantime, you can go in training room, mess around with some item combos or something like that, and just have some fun. If it was like that, that would be much better. But in my experience, it just queues you just the same way as solo queuing normally. So to me, there's no point of it. And especially with how popular Smash Brothers is, you're not going to be any time short of a queue time. Smash 4, even at the end of its 3DS days, like I'm talking about like right before Ultimate came out, queue times were the same as always, pretty fast. You found the same people all the time. And it's really frustrating that a simple fix of just splitting up 1v1, 2v2, 4v4 into their own separate queues for those people who just specifically want to enjoy those specific game modes, it's incredibly frustrating that that's not the case. And the previous game did it better. I don't need to change every single specific rule set. It's cool that you can do that, but it's entirely random. You might as well have it turned off. You will still have the same likelihood of getting the game mode that you want to play with it on or off. The only difference is if you do get into a 1v1, you might get only Omega stages or only get battlefields like you wanted because it will choose between one of the two people. And it's just frustrating that like no matter what you can do, it's random. And like the only fix I have found around a way with that is with arena battles. And there's also still other things that are just annoying to the game mode. Like if you want to keep playing the same person, you're not allowed to change your character colors, you're not allowed to change your name tag if you want to play with different controls, and you're not allowed to change your character. If you do that, you get kicked out of that room with that person. You're not allowed to continue to playing with that same person and choosing a different character, which is frustrating. Like, why can't you do that? I would say, like, the netcode in general feels a lot better than 3DS. It feels a lot better than Smash 4 in general. But that doesn't matter when the online quick play experience is subpar at best. It's luck to have a game mode that you want to play, and if it's not the one you want to play, you're stuck in it. You're not allowed to say no to it, which is incredibly frustrating compared to other Nintendo games like, let's say, Mario Tennis Aces, where even in the tournament mode, the for serious super mode, or even if I recall correctly, casual mode, I don't own Tennis Aces. I only ever played the demo, but I have read a lot about it in that online mode, and how like if your opponent has a bad connection, you can say no to them and find a new opponent. Why can't Smash have it where like, oh hey, we got you queued for this room, do you want to join this 4-player match? It's not the mode that you wanted to play, but do you want to join? Yes or no? And it could just be a simple button input. And to make sure that there's no accidental joins or not, you can map it to X or Y, similar to how in the end of classic mode, you have to press X to end the mode when you get the victory screen, so you can have a chance to screenshot your score and stuff like that. You don't accidentally exit it out. So you can just simply have it where X is yes, Y is no. So when it queues up, you don't accidentally join or leave a room that you were queued up for that you might want to play or not to play. Which is also another way to fix it, which is what my bet is going to happen if Nintendo does change this. Again, I do not blame Sakurai for this at all. Like, this is a Nintendo issue. This has been a consistent Nintendo issue with online games where they'll do something really smart, but then really dumb with their game. And also, Namco makes fighting games, which from what I hear about Tekken and Soul Calibur, they're generally good online with good online modes and functions and feat and settings. Why doesn't Smash have this? They developed 2 Smash games already, and this is their second one. If it was their first one, then I would just blame more so Nintendo, but it's also making me question Namco's involvement as well. Like I guess Nintendo has the bigger say in the end of the day, but it's really confusing. And arena battles are definitely better than the lobby systems of yore, which is the lack of lobby systems. Lobby systems, if you watch my channel, is one of the things I wanted in Smash the most, and I was hoping for something similar to ARMS. And it's kind of similar, but not exactly. In ARMS, you can have multiple fights going on at the same time in the lobby. Granted, fights are much shorter in ARMS, as it's more similar to a traditional fighting game with how fast-paced it is, compared to Smash. Well, Smash can generally take up to at least 5 minutes per match, but Ultimate really needs a second actual like ring in their arena modes, because when it comes to rooms that are 1v1s, if it's more than 3 players in it, you're going to be waiting a very, very long time. And if you change your character, this has the same issue with quick play. You have to exit the queue to switch your character or preferred stage, which is incredibly frustrating. So it only makes it viable for 1v1 battles if you only set the room to 2 people, or have it with friends or people who you can talk to, so you can properly rotate who's in the ring or not. And then you can't spectate battles if you're not there from the start, which is weird. There must be a technical reason why they can't do that. I hope it's a technical reason, not just them being stubborn again. Because again, Nintendo's weirdly stubborn about a lot of things. They don't want to move in the same direction as everyone else when it comes to convenient factors. They want to innovate in that way, which is a big issue that Nintendo has in general when it comes to a lot of their games. They just refuse to add something convenient because it's not innovative. It's something that everybody does, and it's incredibly frustrating because it's something that's meant for a convenient, smooth experience. And again, there's only one match that can ever play during a arena mode, an arena room at a time. Then you cannot change the rules, even if you're the host of that room. When the room's active, you have to shut the entire room down just to even change one rule, even if there's not a battle going on, which is also equally frustrating. So if I want to change the rule set and I want to keep playing with this one person who just happened to randomly join, it's kind of hard to get them back. And the phone app is not that good for voice chat either, because it keeps making a weird dinging noise that you cannot turn off every time you enter a match and leave a match. And it's incredibly frustrating to hear, because even if I turn down all my volumes, my notification sounds and everything, it just blares out for some reason. And it's incredibly annoying. You can't turn that off. So it's not like I can even communicate to this person either, because no one uses the app. No one uses the voice chat. Even though I always leave it on, no one ever joins in. And it's just, it's messy. It's definitely better than it was before. I was able to at least make my own rule sets and things like that. But even then, the rule sets are still vague. I can't make it where the host always plays, or host always plays. You can't make it where the host always chooses what stage. You can't set a specific stage unless it's Battlefield only, and then it just changes between the themes. And it's almost there. It's almost there, but it's just being annoying in a lot of weird ways. Again, I blame Nintendo and Namco for this, not Sakurai. I want to make that as much clear as possible. This is not criticism directed towards Sakurai, because you know, a lot of fans tend to be really entitled towards Sakurai in Pacific, since Sakurai kind of made his face very well known to the Smash community. It's not unlike a lot of games and their directors where only the really hardcore fans know them. No, Sakurai is pretty well known among Smash players in general, both casual and pro. And I just want to let people know, and if anyone from Nintendo actually sees this, I'm blaming Nintendo, you guys, not Sakurai, Nintendo. Because this is an issue across all Nintendo games. Some games do things really well, and then it doesn't translate to other games. Like, it's frustrating. Like, I want to really like this online, but I have to go for a very roundabout method just to get consistent game modes. And even then, it's inconvenient at best. Like, if I want to change characters, I have to completely leave the queue, so I have to make sure that it's only 2 people in an arena, and then make sure that rule set is exactly to how I would like it, or in a generic, non-offensive way to myself in terms of playing it for like endlessly, unless I want to shut down that room and start up a new one and just lose that person I was enjoying playing Smash with. Granted, the friend system is also a lot better on Switch than most other Nintendo consoles, but still, it's not something I would say. It's just frustrating. Like, I know a lot of fighting games have a one match is going on at a time in a lobby sort of thing, but in those games, you don't have to leave the queue to change what character you want to play as. I wish that was done in the arena ring itself and not outside of it. I know it's meant to streamline it a bit. That's what it's intended for. I see where they're getting at. It's meant to streamline the whole process. But it ends up not being streamlined because it's inconvenient. I'm just getting really riled up and ranty. I wanted to make this like as unentitled as possible. Unentitled, because Smash Ultimate does almost everything else right. Like, when it comes to everything offline, it does everything amazingly. Spirits mode could be a bit better, but this is not about Spirits mode. When it comes to everything else, Smash Ultimate does it perfectly, because Sakurai is a saint amongst directors. But Nintendo has and I'll say it again, I'm getting really redundant, I'm repeating myself a lot, which in case I apologize. Nintendo has an issue with online and just doing what everyone else does. And it's really, really frustrating because, I play other online games like Overwatch on PC where you can change the rule sets as you're playing the game. Yeah, it won't update until the match restarts, but you can do that. You can do all this customizable stuff. You can I'm not asking it to be as in-depth as Overwatch, where you can change whether or not a character can actually use their gun or not, or how good their projectiles are, but I'm just asking to be able to change the settings and be able to switch characters without leaving the queue. It's like, again, I see where the design is trying to go. It's trying to streamline it. It's trying to make things smooth as possible, but that's why we have timers on character select screens. I'm pretty sure everyone can choose their character that they want to play within 30 seconds. I'd much rather wait that bit and everyone queue up properly in a ring than to having to leave the queue just so I can switch what character I want to play. Same thing with quick play. I should be able to switch my character with the person I'm playing with, which is something that Smash 4 allowed you to do. In between matches, it brought you back to the character screen. It had your current character default selected, but you can choose to switch to a different character, change your name tag on the Wii U version. You can do all these other little things that can just make the experience overall more streamlined. And it's now gone in general. It's like, again, I see where the concept is. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the concept is there. It's there and it's so good. But the execution itself is not very good. It doesn't matter, who's directing this game. It's a Nintendo issue. This is a consistent issue amongst Nintendo games. And I'm really repeating myself because I need to emphasize this point. It's something that's just been happening throughout Nintendo's history. It doesn't matter if the concept's good. The online just gets too stubborn about certain ideas and features that you can't do anything about it to make it a good experience unless you do a lot of weird workarounds. Man, it's frustrating. I love Smash Bros. I want to see it be better. And I was really debating making this video in the first place because, like, the game's only been out for a couple of days. I didn't want to make more of my first discussions video about it being a rant video. And again, I hate how I feel this way. I want to like it a lot better. I know the stigma around complaining about things in Smash and the entitled elitist nature, but this is a thing that's unfair to everybody, both casuals and pro players, everyone. It's unfair. because you're punished again if you get queued into a game you don't want and end up being really bad, and then you're stuck watching a laggy game for 15 minutes that's meant to be a 5-minute match. And that happens more often than I would like to admit. And there's just a simple fix that you can do. A simple fix. And I'm really worried that Nintendo won't do any of them. Because again, Nintendo is stubborn. Nintendo of itself is stubborn. Even with all the great changes that's been happening with the Switch, all the innovations and stuff like that, they're still stubborn about really weird little things that they refuse to change. Like, no female playable character in Zelda. Not be able to map motion controls moves to buttons, even though they should be clearly just a button action in Odyssey. Weird things about friend codes again, that's still a thing. And just little stuff like that just don't change because it's Nintendo, and it's frustrating, and I really hope that this one little thing does change. But I'm very scared that it won't. And I'm not going to like the online play. At least the CPUs are like really good in this game. So they're really fun to fight. And the single player has been improved significantly, thankfully, in Smash. I'm really happy with the single player content. A little bit sad that home run contest is gone, but everything else is just, perfectly fine. I just really dislike how good of a concept that Smash Online is for this game, but how bad executed it is. I think I've said enough. Yeah, my voice is getting tired. Again, if anybody's from watching this from Nintendo, please either allow me to say no. I'll sum it up. I'll put a little thing right here. I'm going to put at the beginning of the video the changes I suggest the most, in case if for some reason Nintendo is watching this at all. So starting now, the changes I would make is probably the more likely change that Nintendo, if they are going to change anything, will allow, and probably be the easiest fix, is when you get queued up for a game, you are asked yes or no, do you want to join, and you get to see the player's general connections. Whether they're good or bad. It doesn't need to be like exact milliseconds latency. I don't need to see that. Just a general good, bad, sort of thing. And what game mode it's going to be. And have it be mapped to X or Y, or just not A or B, just so you don't accidentally join or not join a game mode that you may or may not enjoy. And have background queue up, prioritizing your preferred rules a little bit more than compared to just regular queuing for a match, just so that background queue actually matters. That's meant to, like, I have the expectation of it taking longer, so I'm doing other modes in the meantime, so I'm doing something substantial while waiting for something I would prefer a little bit more. I'll be fine with that. And I'm pretty sure everyone will be fine with that. I'm pretty sure that'll be becoming a much more popular thing and much more understandable. A change that I would do more personally is having for free-for-all 2v2 and 1v1 be all separate queues. Have them all be separate major options. Just shove around the queues a bit more. Just have it be 1v1 its own thing, 2v2 be its own thing, and 4v4, or not 4v4, for free-for-all be its own thing. I don't care if it's timed or stock or stamina. That's where the preferred rules can come in. But just having them all completely separate will also fix that issue. Yes, I might not get the 3 stock battlefield only setup that I might prefer, but at least I'm still getting a 1v1 setup, which I'm perfectly fine with. If I'm a stickler for my rules, then I would make an arena for that. That's what arena's for. I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't care about my exact rules, as long as I get the format that I would like, which really matters. It's one of the biggest things that I would like to have be consistent. And also with the same change of being able to see my opponent and their connection, so I don't have to quit out on my opponent or stealthily self-destruct where the game can't tell I'm just purposely self-destructing just so I can get out of the game faster, which sometimes I do, admittedly. And for arenas, I would add a second ring to the lobby if there's no technical issues with only having one ring as the requirements. If there's no technical issues, be able to spectate a match starting in the middle of it, so at least I'm not just staring at icons clashing with each other for 5 minutes and waiting for my turn, and having characters in stage select, or at the very least character select, be able to done while you're still in queue or during the actual beginning of the match, just having like a 30-second time limit, and have that be settings in the arena where you can set it where, oh hey, you can have up to a minute or 30 seconds or 15 seconds to select your character to be able to participate in this ring. If not, you'll be just defaulted to random or your last selected character. And also have the ability to change the rules in between matches so that you don't have to shut down the arena every single time you forgot to change one rule, or you just want to have items on high, or this time we want it on low, or to have stages be random, battlefield only, you know, the ability to change the little stuff like that, or to add more room for players or less room for players. You know, simple little streamline changes like that. I see where all the concepts are for both quick play and arena mode. I understand why quick play you can't always have the game mode or format that you might, or at the very least you should have the format that you should want, but the exact rules like stamina, stock, time might not be exactly to your taste, but it's at least the same format. And arena is for when you want the specific rules and, you know, more consistent opponents and things like that. I get that. Like, that should be the separation between the two. That's good. But it shouldn't be up to entirely randomness whether or not I have an enjoyable game and be forced into something that I would get punished for trying to leave if it's not something that is my cup of tea, or if I find actively unfun. Smash should be fun for everybody, and that's where everything should be. It just needs these simple little changes that makes the execution a lot better. Man, my voice is getting really tired, so I'm going to end the video here. If for some reason you stayed here all the way to listen to this, I'm sorry. I know the game's only been out for a couple of days, and I really hate how I feel. I really do. I don't like myself all that much, and this just makes me feel like an entitled gamer. But it's something I felt like should be said in a way that provides constructive criticism. It's like when you critique art. You don't just say it's bad, you have to say what should be improved and how to improve it. Anyway, again, if you're a Nintendo representative, thank you for watching. I don't know why you watched this video specifically, but I will tweet it at Nintendo and see if they listen. And, yeah.